Hey guys, Daniel here. It's been a while. Thought it'd be time to check in. Now, I hope you're all weathering the changes that have happened, that are happening, and that will come. Things are shifting in monumental ways. And depending on where you're putting your focus is an indicator of where your serenity is at. Me, I don't do the news. I haven't done the news in years. I stay out of politics. I don't do the news because most of what happens on the news is upsetting to me. And there's really little, if anything, I can do about it. So I just don't need to know. And my life is much more serene as a result. You know, the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If I can't change it, I don't need to know. And the information that I do need to know always makes it to me. It is what it is. But I'm checking in today, guys, because I want to share with you about this season, this year, the 2022-23 season, because it's been very, very different for me. First off, people have come from very far away for sessions, like very far away. I met a woman, I first met her in February. She's from Alberta, Canada. She came down in February. I saw her again in May. She's coming back in August. And I met a couple ladies from Denver, Colorado. I met a colleague of theirs about a year and a half ago, and they came down on her recommendation. Met a gentleman from Palm Springs, one from Los Angeles. There's a couple from Chicago that came down. A family of 3 from Fargo, North Dakota. There was a woman from Central Pennsylvania, and another family from Colorado Springs. I met them first in March. I met the father and the eldest son, and at the end of this month, week and a half, they're going to be back down. It's July now. And this time I get to meet the whole family. I'm very excited about meeting everybody. A really nice group of people. But people came from very far away. And you know, I am honored and I'm blessed. And I'm by no way boasting. There's a point to this, okay? Because everybody that I met this season, whether they're from in town, out of town, in state, out of state, there were several common denominators with everybody. First off, everybody was suffering from unaddressed trauma. I'm talking about paralyzing kind of trauma. Either that and or they were being molested by demonic attachments. Yes, demons are real, friends. Demons are real. And when one is under demonic attack, that in of itself can be quite traumatic. It is quite traumatic, speaking from experience. But it was, so everybody, it was either trauma and or demonic attack. And how they found me was also a common denominator. And it doesn't matter if they were local or out of state, they all found me the same way. Now, mind you, these were desperate people. And what they all did was they sat in front of their computers, in front of their laptops, in front of their iPads, in front of their phones. And before they did anything, they prayed. They prayed to whatever it is they prayed to, whether it's God, the universe, spirit, creator, whatever. And they said, please, God, connect me with a person that has what I need, that is going to be able to help me. They all did it. Because I ask everybody, especially if they're from out of town, like, how did you find me from North Dakota? And that's what she told me. She prayed. And in fact, the gentleman from Palm Springs, this is what he told me. He told me he sat in front of his iPad and he prayed. He didn't touch anything yet. He prayed. He didn't have time to touch anything because something came up. There was a fire he had to put out. So he went, did what he needed to do, and he came back about 30 minutes later, and he said, boom, my website was right there, without keying anything in. Yeah, these were desperate people. And now, guys, as a healer, right, as a healer, before I can even begin to think about walking with you on your healing journey, I will have had to do a lot of healing myself. And how that translates in my work is, you know, when I started in 1991, the people that came to me, things were pretty light. There was an occasional soul retrieval, which is big medicine. and all that is trauma related, of course. But aside from the occasional soul retrieval, it was all light things, a lot of ceremonial work, healing circles, prayer pipe ceremony, medicine walks, Reiki treatments, Reiki classes, that sort of thing. It was all light. But today, after working on myself for the past 3+ decades, I've come a long way. I've done a lot of work here. I've needed to. I have addressed my traumas. I've walked through my fears. I've challenged my belief systems. I've done it all. And as a result, I'm much better for it. I'm much healthier, but I'm much stronger. And also, I am now in a position to help others that have serious challenges, like everybody that showed up this season. Everybody had serious challenges. Let me give you one example of paralyzing kind of trauma. One gentleman, we'll call him Thomas, and Thomas had a routine operation done. Now, when you get put under for an operation, that gas they give you, it's actually two different things. Two gases. One knocks you out and one paralyzes your body. Now, he told his medical team prior to this operation, I need a whole lot more of that stuff that knocks you out than the normal person. The average person my size, my height, my weight. Now, of course, the medical team did not listen to him. So they gave him, the prescribed normal amount for his body type, his age and size. And so this is what happened to this guy. His body was paralyzed, but he never went under. He never fell asleep. He was awake the entire time. All he could do was move his eyes. And he said he was moving them back and forth frantically before they started cutting. And one of the nurses had said to the doctor, he's not under yet. But the nurse was ignored. And the entire operation, he was awake while they were slicing and dicing and digging in there and taking stuff out and sewing them back up. Now, think about that for a second. Being trapped in your body while somebody is cutting into you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. Yeah, that's the kind of trauma we're talking about. And as far as the demonic attack, I have this new client, call her Janice, and I first met Janice about a week and a half ago. She was in for her first session. Now, Janice, my age, retired, moved here from California a couple of years ago, and she's been through it all. Talk about trauma. What this woman has been through would have crushed most people. But as she was telling her story, she also mentioned that she had these health challenges that she's always had. And none of it was crazy, wild stuff. It was all things, not so much routine, but easily diagnosed. And any competent medical professional could have offered up a treatment protocol that would have worked. But example was her GI challenges. She's always had pains in her abdomen. Always, always, always. And she's been through many, many doctors. Scopes going through her throat, up the other way, MRIs and x-rays and sonograms and blood work, multiple times. And they could never pinpoint the cause of her distress. And when that happens to somebody, that says to me clearly that there's demons involved, that this is a demonic attack thing. And it is. And she told me something that just started happening about a month and a half ago. She said all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she would get these welts on her head, these big bruises. They were about this big, and they were big. And they hurt. They were very painful. Now, she said she never felt something hit her in the head, right? But the resulting welts would certainly suggest that. And it happened while she was sitting on my couch when we were talking prior to the healing ceremony. And I went over and I felt the welt. She started rubbing her head. I was like, what's up? She goes, it just happened again. Oh my God. And I felt the welt. So I got her on the table and I started the healing ceremony. And then I got to a point where I did something different. I don't do this a lot. I soaked my hands in holy water, okay? And held them on either side of her head. and I commanded the demon to leave. In the name of Jesus Christ, I banish you. And I said it a few times, loudly, strongly. And what I felt, I have never had this experience before. Under my hand, I literally felt something crawling under her scalp. And it wasn't little either. And after the ceremony, when we were done, she said, you know, she felt it too. And she saw the entity leave her head, go down through her body, and leave her body through her left foot. And the next day, she drew me a picture. And this is that picture. You ready? Or Okay, that's what she said she saw on her head. And she said that night she got a great sleep. She said she felt better than she has in years. And over the past week and a half, you know, since I saw her the second time, no challenges with that entity. And also, she said for the first 5 days, for the first time, she had no pain in her abdomen. Woohoo! We're on the right track. So I'm going to be working with Janice every week for quite some time. You know, when there are demons involved and layers of trauma, we have to go like one layer at a time. Have to be very gingerly about it. And so that's what we're doing for her. Like I said, demons are real. Now, think about this for a moment, friends. Whether you believe it or not, demons are real, right? Imagine, see, most people that are being attacked by demons over an extended period of time, they know it. They know something is very wrong. And most of them that I've talked to knew it's some sort of dark presence. But none of them say anything to anyone. And they don't say anything because they're going to be labeled as crazy. Most of these people suffer in silence. So guys, if any of this resonates with you or with a loved one, please, by all means, at the very least, give me a call. I am here to help. And what I found for some people that it's just enough to know that they're not crazy. For example, there's a woman I met a couple months ago from back east, and she is part of a family and part of a rural community where nobody is awake spiritually. But she has been on her spiritual path for decades. Nobody gets it. Nobody gets her. And although she's tried to explain it many, many times, nobody gets it. And they all say, you're crazy. They all told her, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. By the time she called me, she was at the end of her rope. She was very sad, and she was thinking about pulling the plug. And I said, honey, you are not crazy. This is what's going on with you. And I explained to her about being on the spiritual path and where she was and where nobody else was. And when something like that happens, when there's one person carrying the light in a sea of darkness, you know, she's in that place for a very specific reason. She's bringing light to where there is none. But for her, she didn't have to come out for sessions. Once she knew she wasn't crazy and somebody validated her, you know, that empowered her tremendously. And now she's good to go. You know, she's good to go. So, yeah, demons are real. Trauma is real. And, you know, and let's not forget about the power of prayer, friends. The power of prayer. Ask and ye shall find. Right? It was true then, it's true now. Prayer works, guys. It does. See, the fact of the matter is, we are all individually surrounded by an army of spirit. Spirits of the light, whether they're guardian angels, spirit guides, animal totems, ancestors. Okay, we have an army with us at all times, waiting to help us. But you have to ask for help. Okay? You have to ask. Reach out. Ask your spiritual army for help with anything. If you're going through a rough time, need some information, like whatever it may be, start tapping into that resource, please. Your life will change for the better. It will. Okay? Now, guys, if you have any questions, like I said, I'm here to help. Please don't ever hesitate to call me, all right? Or we'll schedule a phone consultation. We can talk, see what's up, you know, see where I can help you. And if I can, I can certainly point you in the right direction, all right? I am here to ease suffering, to offer direction, and I'm here to educate the public about alternative healing techniques, all right? So guys, you all take care, and never forget that I'm talking to you, you are loved, okay guys? Walk in peace. Till next time, later.